Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to present you the postgraduate programs relevant to sustainable development and energy access organized by universities in islands or isolated areas. This is a part of the studies within the frame of the MESfIA project, which is Mastering Energy Supply focusing on isolated areas, aiming to provide high-quality postgraduate education on energy supply systems for engineers aiming to have activity or to be employed in projects in countries with many isolated areas and insular systems. Are addressed under MESfIA curricula are physical islands of any size, isolated areas, not necessarily physical islands in desert, cold areas and mountains, and resilient power systems in cases of temporarily isolated areas, perhaps due to a natural disaster. The scope of this paper is to provide a review of similar curricula elsewhere before implementing the MESfIA curricula. And it is very interesting as we focus on students in isolated areas to see whether universities in these areas can provide similar education. Our paper review focuses in island countries of the world, countries with many groups of islands, and countries with harsh weather conditions and isolation. We reviewed some masters with the following topics in the subjects, like energy storage, renewable energy sources, reference to off-grid systems, financing schemes, or business models, especially for small-scale applications. Our review started from the Pacific Ocean, where there are many islands. In the South Pacific, there is a university that provides some masters in engineering technology, renewable energy, and electrical engineering. In Guam Island, there are some MSCs, mostly in terms of sustainable development, while in New Zealand, there are masters in electrical engineering and renewable energy sources, especially in the form of geothermal energy. When we move a little bit, we will see in the Chinese Sea two island countries, Taiwan and the Philippines, that offer masters in electrical engineering, and in Taiwan there is also masters in sustainability, environment and energy as a multi-departmental MSc. In Indonesia, which is a partner country of the MESfIA project, we have got good examples of rural electrifications in many islands. Our two partners have strong collaboration with Indonesian, at least one of the Indonesian utilities, the PLN. Our partners UGM and ITB have tracks specific to cater for the needs of the MESfIA project. Not only mostly electrical power engineering, but also other faculties, especially in ITB, have relevant subjects like renewable energy, energy conversion from biomass, or energy conversion from geothermal. With regards to UGM, some UGM students participate in social activities in the energy field, such as the building of a new photovoltaic on an island. When we move westernwards, we will see these two little island countries, Sri Lanka and Mauritius, which also have master's programs in sustainable process design and sustainable engineering. In the Atlantic Ocean, we have two European big islands like Iceland and Ireland. Iceland focuses more on geothermal energy because it's abundant there, but there is a dedicated school of energy in the capital university which cooperates with Icelandic utilities, while in Ireland there are Master of Science in various colleges, and it's very important to see that renewable energy is also addressed from the business point of view in the University College of Dublin. In Barbados and Virgin Islands, the focus is mostly on building infrastructure, and especially infrastructure to be hurricane resistant. When we move to the Mediterranean Sea, we have Malta and Cyprus, that are countries that provide postgraduate studies. Cyprus is the only country that has not been interconnected to the European Union, And the focus in Cyprus is more on oil and gas industry because of the reservoirs that they have been identified, without with having also MSCs on sustainable material and architecture. There are relevant programs in countries with many islands. We have such examples in Europe: Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Greece, and you can see the total renewable energy sources penetration, including hydro. And the curricula in these areas focus on optimization of RES, environmental issues, regulation affecting renewable energy sources, and strong technical knowledge on power systems. We can see some examples from Greece, which is a country with many islands. About 30 non-interconnected islands are in Greece, in groups of Aegean Islands, Crete, and Ionian Islands. All of them have universities, but masters are offered on the island of Crete, where 2 out of 3 universities offer Master of Science. Let me speak a little bit about the Hellenic Mediterranean University, and this MSc emphasizes on renewable energy sources, and there is specific reference to off-grid sizing and lectures on the non-interconnected island grid code. In the University of Aegean, we focus on environmental studies more, and there is an example of how Erasmus Plus cooperation can bring about relevant MSc in sustainable energy, and this one focuses more on software use. In the Iberian countries, there are ambitious plans for even more increase in renewable energy sources. Thus, there are excellent opportunities for young people to study on it. Among the many universities that offer masters in energy in Spain, there are 3 out of 5 universities in Canary Islands which provide a relevant Master of Science, and there is specific reference to energy service companies, areas with low electrification in Africa and like Africa and Latin America, and integration of renewable energy. Portugal addresses these issues mostly in the continental part of the country. There are also Master of Science in Corsica, Sardinia, and Sicily, which are the islands of France and Italy. France also has many islands in the oceans operating as autonomous power systems, but there is not, apart from one dedicated master in environmental management, not an MSc in the isolated areas. When we speak about isolated areas but not islands, our mind comes to deserts, where we can find good examples from the country of Israel, with specific program in solar energy in desert environment. In polar areas, there is the Nordic Master in Cold Climate Engineering, which is a collaboration between Scandinavian countries' universities, and the students are given the opportunity to attend classes also in the polar environment. The interesting part is that they can apply construction techniques also in the field of energy. In the mountainous areas, there are 2 good examples in Europe. The first one refers to the National Technical University of Athens, where the students learn on how to develop mountainous areas by living in mountainous areas for a semester, and they focus more on the GIS systems, legal dimension of development, and so on, contrary to the Innsbruck University in Austria, which focuses more on biology. The partners of the project have adapted to great extent to these requirements. The Asian Institute of Technology had already dedicated course on rural electrification and distributed generation, and we have a modified curricula to facilitate courses on these issues in the other universities of the partner countries, and these are our Asian partners of the project. As conclusions, it's very interesting to know that for local potential students, they can find a Master of Science programs, and this was the scope of our project. And in these cases, The isolated areas can act as living labs, like the cases of Indonesia, Crete, Iceland, in order to make people understand the peculiarities, and this is very important when we speak about energy issues. Knowing such, having this review, we can allow collaboration of universities with similar problems, which should be encouraged in order to provide common solutions in common problems. Thank you for your attention. You can find some more details on the deliverable 1.4.